Welcome to Mental Health Moments. We're glad to have you along with us. If you're already a subscriber, we're glad that you're back. And if you're new to our channel, we welcome you and we thank you for being here. Hope that what we say is going to be helpful for you along the way. As always, everything that we offer is informative and is not meant to be a diagnosis of any kind, nor is it meant to replace anything that your doctor or your therapist has already given to you for treatment. Trust their judgment and enjoy the information that we give. The subject that we are going to be dealing with this time is something that I think that most of us can relate to: managing meltdowns. Managing meltdowns. Take a look at this. We'll be right back. And we're back. I'm sure we've all seen them. In a recent video, I mentioned meltdowns. And when I did, the response was pretty instantaneous, as I asked if anyone had seen a meltdown or had a meltdown recently. And everyone who responded said, absolutely, we all do, we all see them. One of the things that has become really obvious in our culture these days is that there is a surprising lack of self-control, compounded by the rapid ascent of extremism in our emotions. And so you have these two things working against one another. You have a loss of self-control, and then you have a time when our emotions are inflamed and everything is happening. We've all either seen it or done it or heard it or watched videos of it where something has happened, and the next thing you know, self-control is completely gone, and the result and the resultant behavior is a person that is completely out of control, and it goes everywhere from verbal outbursts to assault to violence and anything beyond that. And so we have to acknowledge that it is very real, and it is a problem in our culture. We have to acknowledge what's going on, and even more than that, what can we do to minimize that in ourselves and in other people? My background is that I came from law enforcement. When I was a deputy sheriff, one of the things that we were trained in was de-escalation. What de-escalation means is that when you're called into a very stressful, high-energy situation, you are meant to use words or phrases or body posturing that is meant to have a calming effect. You hope that your presence there, and then the words that you say and the things that you do will have a calming effect on that situation, and it works personally as well. I know that for myself, even at this stage of my life, whenever I'm starting to a little bit lose control, when I'm starting to have one of those moments, I can tell. I can tell when it is happening, and so probably just like you, I can recognize it, and there's a window of opportunity for me to be able to exert some self-control. But there's only a window there. As I recognize the triggers that turn it into reality, I have a window of opportunity to speak to myself internally and say those things, coping skills that work for me. What works for me is I tell myself, calm down, relax. I remind myself to breathe, to calm down, relax, breathe. And if nothing else works, I know that what works for me best of all is to just step away from that situation. And I believe it's true, the same is true in dealing with other people. In nearly every situation where you're dealing with someone who is having a meltdown moment, there is a window. Now, as is the case is, if they're already enraged, that window is probably closed. That opportunity is probably passed. But if they are still listening and they're still coherent, then you may have some opportunity to deal with that. And some tips that I've learned along the way we wanted to pass along with you. Stay calm. It doesn't do anyone any good for you to join them in that moment. Manage your own response. It's important for how you respond handles the situation. Help them handle challenging questions. If they're having questions, you can listen to them. Prevent a physical confrontation. Do everything that you can do to avoid becoming physical. And this is one of the most important things. Learn how to listen. Everybody wants to be heard, so you have to listen to yourself and listen to them. So many times when I've seen people in a meltdown situation, they just need to be heard about something, and they're just hoping that maybe you don't even need to give them advice. Maybe you just need to, in that moment, listen and hear what they're saying. This is also important. Maintain eye contact. Whenever you maintain eye contact with someone, that communicates that reality that you are in fact listening. I'm listening and I'm hearing what you're saying, and it gives them a sense of understanding that this person is actually hearing what I'm saying. During that conversation, from time to time, as you're helping them managing their meltdown, nod. Just nod your head and add some comment that lets them know that you are listening, you are hearing them, and let them let it out. No, not everybody will agree with that, but I do agree. I believe that's one of the most important things. I learned it in law enforcement. Sometimes you just have to let people let it out. And then sometimes as a counselor, you can offer back responses to them. What I'm hearing you say is this. And as they hear their own words repeated back to them, it begins to help them manage whatever meltdown they're having. But it is important to sometimes just let them have their speak. Sometimes we get stressed in that moment because we think that we need to do or say something that will stop their anger. If I could just say the right thing, if I could just do the right thing, I could maybe completely stop that anger. But you don't. In most cases, understand this, intense anger doesn't last. It's just too strong. So intense anger doesn't always last. It eventually dissipates. So tonight, the very simple response that I'm giving to you is how to help someone manage a meltdown. How about you? Would you like to put something down in the comments to maybe help somebody understand theirs? What about you? What do you do? What are your triggers? What do you see? What happens when you start to get angry? How does it affect you? How does this moment of intense stress affect you? If you wouldn't mind, share that in the comments. And what are your thoughts about that? You might say something there in the comments that would help somebody else, so just drop that down. As we finish our time tonight, we are already looking into next week. I want to take just a few moments and share with you a little bit of the interview that is going to be happening next week. We look forward to it. Take a look at this.
One of the biggest ones that I'm a fan of that works out with me with my anger is just removing myself from the situation. Mm-hmm. You know, we like to think that we have something to prove sometimes, or that our ego gets the better of us, and that we need to stand there because we've been taught don't let people pick on you or whatever, and so you feel like you have something to prove, and you really don't. To me, it's proving something bigger to yourself whenever you can walk away from that situation and just remove yourself from it. Because whenever you do that, it just gives you time to breathe. You can either think about the situation from that person's standpoint, which you might not have done prior to that.
We look forward to sharing that with you next time. Also, if this information has been helpful to you, if you wouldn't mind, pass it along. Like, share, press the notification button. Let your friends know that we are here. Our channel is growing. We're looking forward to helping more and more people. Thank you for being with us on Mental Health Moments. We look forward to seeing you next time.